muted during the webinar, yeah, not to interrupt. We can have as a dialogue Q&A session. Yeah, we'll be happy to answer all your questions. You can put questions into the chat while anything is being discussed. We will collect them and then try to answer in the end. If you have live document, you can raise your hand and you can present right away. We can start reviewing it together. And now I would like to introduce ourselves. Yeah. So my name is Olga. I've been in the automotive industry for over 5 years, working primarily as a certified Scrum Master and configuration manager. In addition to my Scrum Master responsibilities, I've actively contributed to several ASPICE assessments, specifically for the SAP 8 process, where I played a key role in achieving ASPICE Level 2 certification. I'm very excited to have this great discussion today. I hope you're also enjoying. Our guest today will be Olena Lizina. She will join us a little bit later, but I will still introduce her. She is an automotive software professional. Her career started and evolved through several key roles, from software developer to a project manager, which makes her contribution to ASPICE discussions deeply practical and experience-based. And of course, Ronald Melster, or simply Ron, in the automotive world, as a principal ASPICE assessor and VDA 6.3 auditor, who builds the bridge between development and production. With a background in computer science from Berlin and Edinburgh, he moved early from pure coding to software engineering processes, requirements, modular architectures, and process optimizations. Since the early 2000s, he has worked in the automotive industry and as one of Europe's longest-serving ASPICE assessors since 2005. Focus is mostly on assessments that empower teams and explain why behind the processes. Ron has supported organizations like Bosch, Carmack, Nippon Seiki, Audio, Porsche here, and led a Bosch development division with 7,000 engineers worldwide to ASPICE capability level 3. This is my favorite part of introduction. I'm fascinated about these achievements. Also, Ron is an author of 3 hands-on ASPICE books. So Ron acts not just as an assessor, but as a mentor, a coach, sparring partner who helps teams not only comply with ASPICE, but truly embrace it. Thank you for this introduction. Yeah, and now we can start our discussion.
Yes. Yes, welcome everyone, and thank you for the introduction. And I might add something. Quite recently, I've become a certified ASQMS trainer, actually today. It's not official yet, but I did my training, which I was observed by ASQMS oversight. I don't know if you're familiar with ASQMS. It's a standard published by a Chinese authority, and Tier 1s might need to follow it in the future. I'm not sure about the German or European OEMs, if they will follow this. Volvo will definitely follow it, because Volvo is owned by Chinese investors by now. But I'm not sure about the German OEMs, but the Tier 1s, if they wanted to contribute to any Chinese car or be part of the Chinese supply chain, they need to be, according to ASQMS. The main difference is ASQMS is on a quality management system. That's the name, Automotive Software Quality Management System. So it's on organizational level, not like ASPICE project by project, but it's on organizational level. There are policies, and it's a little bit like ASPICE Level 3. So there are standard processes and there are mechanisms to check that all the projects follow these processes. Okay, this is just a side note. And this webinar is definitely special. There's no big presentation which we do, but we would like to discuss with you. And the title is Bring Your Documents, and I will give feedback. A little bit like you mentioned, Mehdi, what is the assessor looking for? And I will give you background, what I'm looking for in the respective documents and what you can improve maybe, so you get a better impression what is expected for the respective document, like, for example, configuration management strategy. And you can ask questions anytime. I'm happy to answer anything. It's a little bit like a Q&A, not so much a presentation. So, Olga, do you have a document which we discuss, or the others? If you have a document you would like to share, you can do so. Otherwise, we have prepared some documents. I'm not prepared, so for me it's new, but I think I can do it.
If Anna has any documents, would you like to start with your questions first?
So I would like to ask how much in depth do we have to define the strategy, most of all, for the CM plan, because now the strategies have moved to level 2.
Yes,
so
okay.
how maybe how we should define for just level 1 what to respect and what to expect also from the rules of ASPICE.
Yes, that's actually an interesting and a little bit of a challenging question. As you might be aware, yes, we used to have the strategies on level 1. Configuration management, first question would be, can we have a look at the strategy? And maybe we could go back one step. What is a strategy actually? It's a big word, and it's quite easily said. Okay, what is the goal? And the goal or objective for configuration management is, okay, we need to have consistency, we need to have access control so that no one can break anything which is stored in the configuration management system by chance. And so that's the goal. And the next question is, how do we get there? And or we can call it approach. And then you write down, okay, we use this tool, we configure this tool in this way. Here are the repositories. And you asked the question about the detail there. Maybe I find it on the fly. Some kind of chapter structure, what is expected from a configuration management plan, and then we can go through it. This should answer your question. Give me a second.
This is what we tried to do, and we defined some guidelines in our conference pages, like a kind of so that it would be available in the cloud for everyone to access the guidelines.
So you have guidelines with the expected content of a configuration management plan.
Exactly, like in 3 steps rules, or in 4-step rules that is easy to explain. Just for level 1.
But by the way, guidelines is an element of level 3 or standard process. Because keep this in mind, this is very valuable. And if the guidelines are pragmatic and accepted by all the teams, this is so much worth. You might have some resistance and from some projects. No, we don't do this like this. We need something else. This again is for you a trigger to think about tailoring mechanisms. Maybe they're using a different tool set. For example, or different technology model-based development is working in a different way, and then you might have some tailoring mechanisms. Okay, for this context, there's a different set of guidelines, and then again you get the acceptance back from these this context. I have found it. Actually, I will share. If I can find it. It's been a long day, sorry. So what you can see, if you can see it, is one of the books, as Olga mentioned, Automotive SPICE case study. It's called ASPICE Light. And so it's a pragmatic way for smaller teams. And in here, no, we have templates. Is it large enough? You can try to make it bigger. Large. Okay. We have templates. Let me go through the configuration management template, quality assurance, configuration management plan. And if you follow this template, then we might be able to answer your question. So for purpose, this configuration management plan, the objective of the configuration management process is to ensure work product integrity. Okay, that's the goal. So this plan specifies what work products are under configuration management, version control, and how baselines are created. So the plan defines some objectives. What does it mean to be complete? At which point in time do you want to create baselines? One aspect of configuration management is also backup and recovery. You need to take care of your data, and then you might define roles and responsibilities, like a RASIC chart. Okay, which role is responsible for doing which activities? Configuration manager has some contributions, the project manager, and you should not forget each and every member of the development team does configuration management on a daily basis. So they need to know the basic rules of configuration management, how to version, how to commit something to Git or Codebeamer, how to create a baseline, maybe not the release baseline, which is then published to the customer, but intermediate baselines for testing, for features, etc. So they need to understand the mechanisms for baselining. And what else? Naming convention is a big part. I'm skipping some of the things. And that's actually a hint. Take the chapters which apply to you. If you have no external stakeholders with configuration management, if you do not have suppliers, skip the chapter. And to keep it simple, start with the things which you need to define and create a chapter, and then you fill it out, and it will grow over time. Naming conventions is a big part, exercise, life cycles for this so-called configuration items. Very important, you need to identify which tools are you using for configuration management, Git, Subversion. You might have CI/CD tools. For bigger artifacts, you might use repositories, and some work products also live in tools like Jira. And Then, as I said, how are baselines created, at which time, how are they approved, how are they protected against alteration, and here we have some possible feature branches. Feature branches, release branches, you might have hot fixes, and you want to merge all this back to a main branch or head branch, whatever it's called, and you need criteria for this. Otherwise, your feature branch, if it does not compile, might break your master branch, and this you don't want. So you define criteria. It must be compilable. Maybe you check using static code checks, that the coding guidelines are followed, MISRA guidelines, etc. You might run the unit tests before merging back to a bigger branch, so to say. Okay, so as you see, there's a template available which you can use for your configuration management plan. Does this help you?
Yes, very insightful. Thank you so much.
If you have any questions regarding any of the chapters, I'm happy to answer it.
Maybe about escalation strategy, because we define it in another chapter or in another area.
Yes,
it's not here.
It's to me actually an optional. Hi, Olena.
Hello.
Escalation strategy. It's kind of optional out of the process configuration management. As you can see, you might have technical conflicts, configuration conflicts. It's expected for two processes, quality assurance. There you have to have a quality management or quality assurance escalation path for any quality issues, and you might have it in project management. What if you have risks and conflicts in your budget, in your effort, missing competencies, etc. So yes, it's separated. Quality management escalation, project escalation, and here you might have some technical escalations for configuration management. But you can skip it if you don't find anything useful to escalate out of configuration management. And that's actually a message to all of you. Don't take ASPICE as a checklist. Don't take this template. I need to fill out every chapter, even if they don't make sense. Apply them to your context. Yeah. It's better to take the chapters and do them on a daily basis than write down something which is never done because it doesn't make sense or it's not accepted or whatever. Okay.
And then for the storage, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you consider also the storage potential or the storage details in your configuration management.
Yes. What is the question?
If you consider also the storage potential, like as a duration, as flexibility, as I don't know, third-party awareness. For example, for some source code that is just third-party and it's available a certain amount of time.
Okay. You're touching another topic, which I can talk about in a second. Let's talk about storage first. For this, I would like to tell you a story which I've told many times before. I was sitting in an assessment, was many years ago, 2008 or something, and I was asking the project, hey, how do you care about the backup? And they told me, backup, that's in the responsibility of the IT department. Okay, I wrote this down as part of the assessment report. And during the assessment, a colleague came into the room. Yes, we lost the data on the DOORS server. And the project manager, well, then asked the IT to recover it from the backup. And the IT department was saying, which backup?
Oh.
Literally, yes. And the IT department was claiming, we don't have the task of doing the backup. We just run the server. We started every morning or whatever, but we are not responsible for the backup. And what can we learn from this story? You need to be aware of the backup. You don't need to do it in your project, but please ask the IT department if they do the backup, how often they do the backup, and you compare to your needs. You know, if you have a smaller maintenance project where you change the source code every half a year, okay, then a daily or hourly backup is not feasible. But if you are in heavy development, you know, have 50 developers committing all the time, then you might consider a daily backup, or maybe even an hourly backup, because 50 people losing one day, that's 50 days of work.
Here you are correct.
So it must be appropriate, but you should consider the backup strategy. And in the best case, you have an agreement with the IT department. They kind of promise it to you and say, okay, yes, we do the daily backup or weekly backup, and they are doing it for you. It's an agreement, and you don't need to take care of the technical details. That's their job.
Understood.
Any additions from you, Olga? Yes.
I wanted to present a branching guideline.
Ah, yes,
because I think it also can be tricky.
Yes, it is.
And I, because we discuss in configuration process, I have internal technical configuration management audit checklist.
Okay,
because
very long word. Configuration management.
I have both. I have template for audit, and I have a checklist for audit, so we can combine.
Okay.
I can present branching guideline first. Let me know if this screen is okay, because it might be a little bit large, and the scale for you will be vice versa, small. Is it visible, or shall I enlarge it?
I can read it. For me, it's okay, but I have a big screen.
Me too, yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. Maybe I will do like this, and yeah. So this is branching guideline, just like a general rule for everything. It starts with terms and definitions. Here we define what is branch, what is release branch, what is development branch, and so on, like a glossary, yeah, basically. Then it goes to strategy itself. And here it gives us definition for some standards, like if we no branches, yeah, if we use scaled trunk development, yeah. So it's just like a short description and when to use.
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah, it has links to description on the official websites. That's why I didn't remove them. Yeah, so GitHub flow, feature branching, Git flow, and that's it. Yeah, and examples of the workflow. So this is a general document, which, for example, if I'm starting a new project, I can use this guideline, apply it or tailor it to the workflow we are going to implement in the project, and remove all unnecessary information, right? Will this be enough? I think yeah, then references, history, so nothing interesting. So the main part for branching guideline would be basically this.
Yes.
We define our strategy, yeah? Is this enough if we present, let's choose anything, feature branching, yeah?
There was the question about strategy and the ASPICE levels. On the organizational level, that's perfect. You know, what are the options? What can you do? You can feature branching or no branches at all. You also give when to use. That's kind of tailoring guideline. For small projects, don't use any branches at all. That's fine. So the when to use are kind of tailoring guidelines. However, you need to have a strategy for the project in which you select the approach from your guideline and saying we do feature branching, or we use, what do you call it, no branching, working on the master only for small teams, which might be okay. However, you need to decide for your project.
Yeah, so if we choose, for example, feature branching,
yes,
all I need to do some links to official documentation if it's necessary from the tool, yeah, like what we use, Git or whatever, yeah. I don't need this part when to use, because basically we already applied it to our...
And you don't need the other flows because you decided for feature branching, and yes, and
but I guess I need to present this workflow as how it is organized, yeah?
Yes, because it's the application of the feature branching in the project. Let me see if I can
merge it. So basically it will show which branches we're going to use, their names, how the tags, yeah?
You might want to go one step further. Okay, how do you name the release branch, the production branch within the tool, if there's a possibility for naming conventions? So within the project, you might decide additional things. And now to answer the question, on which level do we need the strategy? With PAM 4.0, there is no need for a strategy on level 1. However, yes, I think you're going to say the same thing like me. Go ahead.
Most of assessors usually ask about that, and even you just when you explained to Anna, you mentioned like what's the branch.
And I will give you the reason why most of the projects aim for level 2. Because that's the goal. The level 1 is only an intermediate step, but the requirement is for projects to reach level 2. And on level 2, you have the strategies again, and you need to have a strategy. And as we have seen, you need to decide, you need to some aspects, okay, which kind of branching are we doing? What are the criteria? What are the naming conventions? And you write this down in your project-specific strategy. In a level 1 assessment, the assessor might not ask for the strategy. However, he might ask, okay, where do you store your branches, your configuration items? And then you say, yes, in Git. Okay.
Where is it described? Yeah, like
yes,
why?
Yes, it's almost the next question. Okay, is it conformant to your strategy? So it's an inherent question which we want to know. Okay, we stored in Git. Okay, level 1 checked, but we don't know if it's feasible, if it makes sense. That's why we have not seen too many ASPICE assessments according to PAM 4.0, but I would start with a strategy, even though even for a level 1 assessment. Okay, what is your approach? What are your conventions? What are your agreements for your project? And then start with the level 1 questions.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit like PAM 3.1.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question to Alec. Good evening, by the way. Have you done any PAM 4.0 assessments yet? Can you hear us? Okay. If you don't want to answer, that's okay. But I'm curious if anyone has done any PAM 4.0 assessments yet. I mean, the customers, the OEMs, they start requiring this for new projects. Okay, do it according to PAM 4.0, and then we have these kind of discussions. Do we need a strategy? Yes, we do need it, even if we are doing a pure level 1 assessment. Okay, so as a guideline for many projects, that's perfect. I really like this.
Okay.
However, a single project, they need to decide, okay, naming conventions. What if they don't use Git? If they use another tool, then they might need to consider this tool. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have anything to add? Or shall I continue with the
Yes, next document.
checklist, my favorite?
Okay, yes, yeah, the big baseline order checklist. Yes.
Yeah, I have it in a very strange format. It shows all the pages in one. Just let me scale it to some normal view.
And while you're opening the document, what is the use case for a baseline audit, and what is the question we are asking here? Baselines are sets of configuration items, like source code. The units are fully implemented and they are baseline. They're somehow grouped together. That's a baseline. And the question you might ask in baseline audit is the baseline complete? And the question is, how do you know it's complete? You have to have a plan. What configurations items need to be included in a baseline. And this plan is created based on a feature. We want to create a new feature. We want to implement this. So we need to create, I don't know, 20 units or to update 20 units. So these 20 units must be included in the correct version in the baseline. And that's the question you ask during a baseline audit. I hope this fits to your checklist.
Let's see. First, I will show you list, CI list, how it is organized. Yeah. So configuration item. I have actually two templates, but I'm showing you this one, and we can see if the checklist is applicable. Then document type, document status, document owner. Then what overall status for the CI we can check. Yeah. We can check workflow and quality gates, availability and correct status, approval review history, versioning change history, compliant with naming conventions, stored correctly, and which audit mechanism was applied. The last column, I think, is just for comments, for any findings if we do. And this will be applicable for most of the CIs. Invented a second table, which can be considered as a configuration item, but actually you don't control them or apply any review approval. It can be like dashboards
Yes.
Any kind of filters, which is also useful and applicable to some reports, for example. It could be a source for report or something like this that we use on a daily basis. It can be team development dashboard, but we don't review it. I mean, it exists, right? So that's why we thought it would be a good idea to put it in a second column and just check that it's available, also compliant with naming conventions and stored correctly.
Yeah, okay.
So let's pretend this is our CI list of CIs.
Yes. So we let's start with the continuous and updated CIs. So they have a different life cycle. As you mentioned, they don't need to be approved. Meeting minutes, dashboards, they're not real documents, so to say, but they're part of the configuration item list, and they can be checked for availability and correctness. Are they up to date, etc., which makes sense. And so let's assume that in the table above we have our units and our unit test cases. In which status do they need to be for a baseline?
Approved.
Yes, approved.
I just see something. It's not a baseline audit, but it's in let's call it normal configuration item audit. Okay, let's go back one step. There are two types of configuration audits. This one, so you check all the configuration items. Are they stored correctly? Are they stored according to the naming convention? These are kind of formal checks. And the baseline audit is a subset of the configuration items in which you want them in a certain state. And this is what I was asking for. Okay, to create a baseline of a feature, the units must be approved. So they must be implemented, approved, tested, whatever state. A draft unit cannot be included in a baseline for a release.
Does it mean that it's better to have, that it's always better to have a separate audit for baselines?
Yes.
So not included.
Yes, it's a different kind of a baseline configuration management audit. This is the configuration item audit, and then you have the specific baseline audit. How often do you do this audit?
Then it should be also specified in our plan.
In the
periodicity,
strategy? Yes.
in the strategy. So let's see audit checklist, where which we will apply to the audit itself. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can check, first of all, roles and responsibilities.
Okay.
Are they in actual
Assigned.
state?
Okay.
We have all necessary roles described, defined, and so on. So it should be in PMP. And also, I met such a question that we need to have role and specific person assigned to it, like a table of that. Yeah. So not just like we need to apply it to our team headcounts, let's say.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is part of the PMP process management plan. Okay. You define the roles. The roles can again come from the organization, so you don't need to invent roles in your project. You can augment the roles, but there need to be an assignment to actual people. Yes.
Okay. Then email groups. Usually we use it like a way of communication. Yeah. So these groups can be also divided based on roles, based on I don't know, teams allocation could be,
Okay.
and it should be valid in actual state and so on. Then access rights.
Okay.
Description of access rights, maybe a checklist again, if all team members have all necessary rights. If
Yes.
they don't have them, why? Do you have a special request? Are you waiting? It's
Okay.
not valid, something like this, yeah?
Just a remark, in a strategy, you define how the access rights shall be. So you define the target state. This group of people need access to this group of information or configuration item or repositories or whatever. And here in a checklist, you check are the access rights according to the strategy. It's like a PDCA cycle. You plan, then the access rights are allocated to people. It might be in the correct way, or there might be gaps, or even worse, maybe not worse, but someone has access to things he or she should not see. So, and you're checking this using this checklist, yes.
Okay, good. The next one, this is a very tricky one, baseline integrity check.
Yes.
So basically, right now in this document, in this checklist, it is included in the audit of CIs.
Okay.
Right? Or audit of the process.
I would do the baseline audit separately, and I can tell you why. Because I asked you about the frequency. The baseline audit takes place at different point in time. Before you want to release something, you can do a baseline audit to check if all the CIs are in the correct state and are they consistent. And then you can release the baseline. While the normal configuration management audit, you can do anytime. Check for the naming conventions is independent of a baseline. That's why I asked you for the frequency. You can do it once a month, every quarter, maybe not less, but you don't do this on a daily basis. And as I said, the baselines are planned for releases, for milestones, so they might be independent from this frequency. Every 4 weeks, we do a normal configuration management audit.
But during those 4 weeks, I can do, for example, 2 checks of baselines because
yes, exactly.
We have implemented and released architecture or anything like this.
Yep.
Okay. And in scope of this topic, also interesting, should we check the baseline after the process owner created it? Like we have several people who involved in the process. Yeah. So, for example, we have architect who has already reviewed and approved all the SSAs. Yeah. And then it is considered to be a baseline. And then should another person, like anyone from the team assigned to that, do a separate baseline check, or do we agree with what person who reviewed it already did?
To me, these are 3 steps. It sounds a lot of work, which it is. Let's take this example. You have an intermediate baseline, not at the end of the development, but in between. An architecture is being baselined and released, which is a feasible way. The first step would be a content review of the architecture. Who can do this? Who can review an architecture?
Developers.
Yes, exactly. Or another architect from another project. That's possible. Downstream, what it's called, the developers, they can check the architecture. And this is a a content review.
Mhm.
And this is the precondition of an approval. So you do a review, approval.
Mhm.
Can you go back to the other
To this one?
checklist? Yes. And so the target state of the architecture is approved. And in the configuration management audit, you don't do the content review again. But you ask, was the review performed? Was this architecture approved? Is it in the correct state? When was it approved? So you don't do it again, but you ask some connecting questions, so to say.
Yes, and this is where we struggled a lot with Olga, proving to our QMS
Yes.
team that we don't need to do a review again.
No,
because it's not responsibility of configuration manager
Exactly.
to know the architecture.
Exactly. And even I go one step further. The person doing the configuration management audit checks for the status and location and the naming convention. And then the technical, creating the baseline, in this case, the architecture baseline, is just a technical step. So you have content review, we have baseline audit, and then we have creating the baseline. And the baseline, creating the baseline is based on the configuration management audit, because then the configuration manager knows, okay, all the items are in the correct and desired or planned state. Yes, it takes some time to understand the different steps and the different objectives.
So for the baseline audit, this is how it is. This check is called baseline integrity check. So
Yes,
baseline integrity.
Yes.
The configuration manager open baseline policy, see, for example, architecture needs to be approved once per sprint. This is naming convention. So as a configuration manager, check naming convention, check date when it was created. And also in this case, he or she should know how many of architectures should be included in that, because they are new, they are approved, and but they don't dive into the content, like are the blocks correct and
interfaces, is the dynamic behavior existent? No, it's only about the state. And you mentioned something, okay, how many architectures can I have? If I have several, maybe working on a future architecture, and while you have released an older architecture, this can happen. And that this is according to the plan, is state of the configuration items, in this case, the architecture, according to the plan. And you mentioned that the configuration manager does the audit, which is possible, but someone else can do it as well, according to the checklist.
Thank you for mentioning that. Should I continue, because it has still some points, and I'm looking at the time, if we still...
Actually, I mean, we could go on forever. This, I mean, coaching, configuration management, sometimes the projects, it takes them weeks, and okay, now I've understood this step and this convention, and how do you ensure this? Yes, it's as I mentioned earlier, we do a mini coaching. I would ask the participants, are there any questions from your side? And then, if not, it's okay. It's a lot of...
I can stop sharing. Yeah, we
yes,
can.
if I can find it. I would like to do an announcement, which you might like. Hopefully. Actually, it's two parts of announcement. First of all, I've written a book. It's not about the content, but how ASPICE assessments are performed. So it's how assessors will behave and how they will ask questions. It's called Ultimate Guide to Automotive SPICE Assessments. If you want to know about the content, for example, ASPICE Light with the templates is available. And then I want to make this announcement. In April, I will do a webinar with Dorian Müller. He is a developer of artificial intelligence, and we worked together and we created a tool. It's like a chatbot, but it can answer questions about automotive SPICE. We, Olena, Olga, and I, we did a webinar a few weeks back. Maybe you remember we asked ChatGPT, can you create a configuration management plan? And it failed in a way. Of course, the chapter structure, as I showed earlier, was available, but the content was not applicable at all. So, and this tool we are going to present in April. It's much better for two reasons. First, my books are fed to the AI, so it has a better foundation. And the next one is a technology. Dorian created a tool. The AI analyzes the text and creates a knowledge graph. And then it can follow the edges of the knowledge graphs. So it understands the semantics. Like we discussed, we have roles, we have templates, we have artifacts, and it's not taking chunks of text, but it follows actually the elements and can answer the questions much, much better. I challenged the tool.
It's like a chat, right?
Yes,
it's a chat.
Yes.
That's great.
The claim is ask any question about automotive SPICE and it will answer. There was one slide thing, it failed out of 30 questions. I was not convinced with one, but we will fine tune until April.
That's fantastic.
Yes, on 16th of April, I think 4 o'clock.
Did you already announce on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Great.
And on a newsletter, and I'm looking forward to this. This will be exciting.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for that webinar.
Yes. So are there any further questions? Maybe we overwhelmed you a little bit.
You're very quiet.
It was insightful information. I kept on taking notes. And for the baselines, it's a really good approach to review it before or separately.
Yes. Yes. It's not just something I invented, as you can see, Olga from Luxhoff. It's a best practice. And if you do it in a conscious way, okay, what is the question before actually freezing the baseline? It helps to achieve the goal of, what was it called? Integrity of the work products. Okay. And if you have any questions regarding automotive SPICE, if you want to have a personal coaching, you can contact me anytime on LinkedIn or on my website. Here's the link to the books, and there's also contact button, and can schedule half an hour, and then we will see how I can support you.
I see. Maybe for the ASQMS.
Yes.
In the future, if you will have either coaching or any kind of webinar or a training would be interesting because we work
Yes.
with Volvo suppliers, and they start already to request this as a qualification.
Okay. There, let me elaborate on this. There is a one-day training. What are the key concepts? What are the difference to Automotive SPICE? So it's some kind of migration. It's not an official certification. And if you want to go one step further, you can become an internal auditor. It includes the coaching because your colleagues from your company, they will ask you, okay, what do we need to, in addition to ASPICE for ASQMS, how do we prepare for a certification? That's included in the auditor / coach, but maybe it's a good start to do this one-day training to know exactly what are the key differences from ASPICE to ASQMS.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Yes, okay. Thank you for your attendance, for the discussion. Yes, it was a little bit different. Yes. Thanks for attending, and yes, see you next time.
Looking forward to that session. Thank you, colleagues.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.